Welcome back, everyone. Today is kind of a big day. We'll be going for about a little over an hour in this first session, and then hopefully a good solid section of working on the skin tone today. And yeah, come hang out. We can talk a lot about it, and I'll try to answer questions. And really, this is just my understanding of how I've made sense of it over the years. There's no right or wrong ways to do it, but figuring out the system that works for you. And I'm happy to just share some of my process with you today. So thanks for being here. I'm going to start off by just giving myself a little bit of an oiling out here. So I've got Rublev's Colors, the walnut oil gel. And I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a surface to, and I'm not going to try to put a lot of this down, but I just want to give myself, rather than just laying the oil color directly onto dry canvas, I'm just going to get a little bit of oil in here, just using a makeup sponge. So that I'm just working into oil, if that makes sense, even if that oil is clear at this point. And then, because I don't really want a whole lot of material, I'll still just kind of wipe it a little bit. That gives me a great surface on which to begin working. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I just kind of start wherever I feel like. I think a lot of times it's good to still establish those darks. I think those are, especially if you're beginner painter and you're learning to have a fixed point with which to begin comparing the rest of your values to. So I'm just going to take a filbert here, and it's synthetic, and I'll just grab just a little bit of thinner. I've already mixed a few piles of skin tones, and these are just a little bit at random, but not so, because what I'm attempting to do is, so here's kind of my palette up here, these colors. All those are obviously way too intense. And so I'm just mixing up a few variants on how I think it'll go. I want some warms, I want some nice reddish orangey with some greens, and so I've got even a couple blue and sort of purple, as well as some darker midtones mixed beforehand. And the reason I do that is just so that I have something I can work with quickly, but I'll still be mixing things as I go. I'll still be pulling and shifting some of these piles, but that just gives me something where I can just kind of keep, one for one, keep applying it. And I really like working in that way, rather than just mixing on the go. Personal preference. So, that doesn't mean that's the way to do it. It just means that that's the way it's made sense for me. And to each their own, and how each of us figure out and make this thing work. This crazy thing called oil painting, with all its variations. And for some reason, there it is. You can't see the forest for the trees when you have tubes of oil paint all over the place. You just need a little more yellow ochre to get started. Yeah, probably you'd say, wow, that's a really clean palette. Yep, sure is. I don't know. I'm a clean palette person. I think that probably disqualifies me from being a real oil painter, but so be it.
Wouldn't that just make you an organized oil painter?
Well,
Does that mean that you're not an
I'm just being
Facetious.
I mean funny.
Oh, funny.
People are, I don't know.
Picky.
I just think it's sometimes it's amusing to me, the sort of stereotypes and that are just displayed. Like if you don't do this, you're not
real.
You're not real. You're
Wannabe.
Yeah.
Poser.
And it's just like, come on, guys.
Like to each his own, right? However makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah, but some people are really serious about it. And so here in the hair, hair is this interesting thing, and it kind of doesn't matter what color it is. It's almost, I'm always surprised at how kind of green and, much more blue, cooler hair is, even sometimes when you consider that this is like a red-haired person, or this is that, or this is this. It seems like it's always a little, just leans a little bit in the cooler side of things. So I'm just starting off by I'm capturing a little bit of her hair here, and this dark layer and these few dark colored shapes, they're just gonna give me a little bit of that, just that spot that I can say, okay, when I compare the rest of my values, especially when I get into the neck, the shadows of the face, I can just set them up right next to that dark and say, okay, that's where I want to be. I want to make sure that I'm about this much lighter than this point. And I think that's helpful. And if you're just kind of getting going, starting with those darks is a great way to do that and establish that point. Trash trucks here.
Get it? Really good, because I have so much trash downstairs.
Yeah, we kind of filled the bin. Did some work. Did some housework.
Oh, I didn't know that was a team effort.
I mean, Sean did. He's claiming it.
I built the windowsill.
Rightly so.
And then I put the old windowsill, all of it, into the trash can, and I made it all fit. And now it's in the trash truck.
So I set down this layer, this plane of her face, in comparison to this dark, and it is warm. It's a warm dark. When I'm looking at the source material, there is a little bit of kind of coolness within it too. And so if you saw my palette earlier when I held it up, I had my warmer dark, but also kind of a greenish dark. So I can just use some of that greenish dark to just cool that off just slightly, and I'll just leave it there. I'm a little more likely to just work quickly through these stages. I'm kind of thinking about where I'm going for sure, but at the same time, I want to get it blocked in so that I can really get to making some of those key decisions. So still working from the dark to the light. And at this point, I can also see, and I'm going to use my pinky a lot to stabilize myself. Probably like her, I see some of the darks there in her eyelashes. It's a little warmer there around the nose. A lot of times you have some really warm shadows, just because we have this kind of fleshy bit sticking out, and light is really traveling through it. So a lot of times those shadows are very warm around the nose. Same for the mouth. Makes sense. So sometimes I'll even exaggerate a little bit, and I'll dip into my alizarin crimson and get a really nice kind of red, deep, cool red right here in the corner. And those are just, again, these are markers. They're just keeping kind of keeping me on track. Because when I put some of the other values next to them, I just want to know where I'm going, know how it's coming. So, all right. And there's you can run into a lot of people who insist on this or that, or this needs to work this way, or and you can definitely get the runaround with different teachers, and some of them are really insistent on things happening a certain way, and I'm just not that. And I kind of do it different every time too, because I want to see what happens when I just try something on a whim. Just there's that inspiration that day to like, okay, I'm gonna drop this normal way that I do it, and just see what happens. And sometimes it turns out okay, and it gives me a fresh perspective. But just want to welcome you to the live stream today. The goal today is just to finish the face with excellence, and just end the day really satisfied, saying, okay, we set out to do this today, and we did it. I like to do that every day. Just set an intention, set a goal, just like you would for a workout or a yoga session. You have an intention for the day, and you're gonna you're set, and you're moving in that direction. Be careful as I come up to this red fabric that I worked on a couple days ago, which is a great segue to say you can watch all of this. I mean, from day one, working on this painting until we varnish this thing, you can see the whole thing come into being. And so yeah, you can watch the red. It's I changed some of the things I was going to do with the red, and so my underpainting didn't match up, and so I'm going to have to go back in and do some repair and a third color layer to just kind of fix some of those problem areas. All right, doing good, getting the good shadows sorted. If you have any questions along the way, please just drop them off. Sean's moderating for the time being.
Do you want me to go do that thing?
Yeah, why don't we go do that? And if you'll just set the monitor down here, yep. I'll take a peek now and then. Be able to appreciate that.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know that thing. Yeah. That thing. Code words.
Oh, what was that? Oh, it's just the crappy headphones. Can I say that? It's just the cheap. Well, they're not cheap. They're just falling apart. They're great. They're David in my house, and he's great. I mean, somebody. I'm just gonna go.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep.
All right, getting some of those blocked in, and all right. So I'm going to take the next step in my, excuse me, also recovering from a cold. Thank you, children. Children share their germs so much. So I'm coming down off of a bit of a cold. Maybe some coughing, some sniffling here and there. So as I continue to work my way toward the light, I'm going to make a few intentional decisions. To I'm looking for these planes, these major, this plane above the zygomatic arch here, and how this plane then takes it and turns and goes in. And so as much as I'm building up skin tones, I'm just really thinking about the whole time the planes of the face. I'll take the cheeks a little redder. That was a little too red for my liking. And I can always grab some of my green and neutralize that. One of the great energies of painting skin tones, and no matter who you're painting, no matter what ethnicity, the play of warm and cool is just so important to have that push and pull constantly. It gives it life. And so, I've got a lot of greens and reds that I'm just going to push and pull to get that temperature correct, no matter where I'm working. And we're going to get there. So. Talked about that nose always being pretty warm. Light travels through those spaces. And also then we also have a natural tendency to just have warmer skin tones throughout the cheeks and above the nose. And knowing those tendencies really help you get there, even if you're not quite sure, where to start. It's like, well, at least leaning into some of the just general understanding of where certain colors exist. And there's a phenomenon called color banding that is, sort of states that there are bands of kind of temperature and even hue variance for like forehead, for the kind of area around the eyes, forehead area, in the middle around the nose, cheeks, and then even mouth and then into neck. And once you're really familiar with those, it's pretty incredible how much you can see and just lean into that, even if you're still kind of floundering around in your skin tones. There's just some areas that are very kind of thin, if you will, thin points of the skin where light really travels around and lights up the interior of the skin. And knowing those places and knowing where that works and those tendencies really takes you a long way. So I've got some of the darker values in that I want to achieve, and I'm going to kind of keep moving to the next lightest area just as my eye sees it. So I'll kind of drop in some of this. It's looking a little cooler than what I dropped it in, and so that's why I like having those kind of greens around as I continuing this. Some people call it tiling, where I'm just building up these tiles of the planes of the face. We know the form is coming around, the light is going to be hitting the front side of this face and turning, and so I'm working my way there. And I can work into the paint that's already there, and we'll do plenty of that as we go. Some interesting cooler areas right around the eyes, even when you're in the thick of working in this kind of warmer zone, you'll still find these cool hints around the eyes, and I just like to exaggerate that some. So if you zoom back, or if you scroll back, reverse, rewind back to the start of the stream, I just shared some of the colors that I mixed. I knew they weren't going to be exact, but I just wanted a few touch points on which to base the whole painting. So just getting a little too orangey. So I've got a white that I've mixed just to get a little messy. I'm going to go ahead and lay in some of this up here too, since I'm kind of working my way this way. I'll just dip into here, clean that up some. It's a little lighter around the mouth. Again, remember, these aren't hard and fast rules. Hey, it's good to see you, Sarah. Thanks for being here. My moderator is helping my family go retrieve our vehicle that had a recall repair on it. So that's so I'm solo for the moment. But good to see you. So I've got all those fun, kind of cool, warm mixtures that I'm going to play off of one another as we work our way around. It's one of the most satisfying things about skin tones is is just warm, cool, and these are so subtle, and I mix them a little exaggerated, but it ultimately will do the part as I kind of work back on top of other areas. We've got a little bit of a highlight here on the front of the face, and I'll kind of block those into and everything is constant drawing. you lay in a color, but you're watching, okay, well, how far does it go? And so you never stop drawing, even if you have your drawing established. You're always in that kind of comparison mode of, okay, where does this go? How far does it go? Stopping, going. And you'll notice I'm still using, fairly big size brushes, and I'm gonna continue on that until I need to get just a little more refined. That said, I'll still try to, as much as possible, refrain from getting too tight. I will inevitably, it just kind of happens, so you're gonna see it. I'll still try to stay loose and kind of painterly. You just stand on the shoulders of giants. You think back through art history, and wow, just Sargent and the great portrait painters of the past. And whew. And I'm trying my best to kind of follow some form, just build this initial structure of the face. Let's see. Oh, I can't read from here. Sarah, I wish I could just hear you. I can't read the text. You're saying something really important. I know. So thanks for being here. Sean should be back in about 30 minutes or so. In order to get this vantage point so close, I'm really kind of wrapped in. I cannot escape. And some of the things you can do beyond just what you see is create a little bit of coolness on these far sides of the face. And we've talked over the last 9 days on and off about what it is to use some of the inherent nature of light and dark to help create push and pull, or space, or volume, or and so that the same applies where warm colors come forward, cool colors recede, just like light values come forward and dark values recede. So you can use those. These are all just subtle things you can use to create volume with just a little bit of coolness on this far side. That's gonna make us feel like it's moving back there. Similarly, even on this side, like it's turning around, and this the face is coming forward. We can also do that with the crispness of the brush mark too, for a little tighter here, a little looser on the outside. Again, that just that creates some of that volume and great space creators. So I'm going to just fill this in some on this side, and I'm making it a little greener than it would be in life, just Just a tad. And then I'll come in with the nose and make it a little redder. You know, and I've got the underpainting underneath to just help me out some. And I'm gonna use that for sure. Because even this color I put down is only so opaque. There's a lot of that underpainting that I'm still seeing through. And while I wouldn't necessarily call this a glaze because I'm painting mostly opaquely, there is some of that is happening. Yeah, I'm painting. Some of that layers, some of those layers are still showing through, which is exciting. I always love that part about oil in particular. You just have a little more there's always layers there, whether you can kind of see them or not, and it's exciting for me because I know not only are you seeing some of this, that's just the ground, but then you're seeing some of the underpainting, but then you're seeing this other layer, and all of that working together to your advantage is, I think, where it really shines. And you might see that it's just a little, I mean, I'm in using these shapes, there are the little kind of harder edges, and we'll work with those, we'll work those out. I do want to make Mary a little more youthful. So we will be working toward that. But after this major block in here, I'm going to have to buckle down and get out some smaller brushes, just to get some of these areas. You know, I just want a little bit of a little bit more detail here and there, and kind of let the rest of it be what it is. I definitely have a tendency to make it too dark. And just noticing it's hard to make out. Let's see if I can adjust the exposure some here. I don't really like how this looks.